Hello and welcome to The Cycle Show. This is Programme 2 in a brand new series that aims to cover the A to Z of bikes. Thank you very much for all your comments last week. We've taken them all on board and have another packed programme for you this week. Coming up, Anna Glowinski goes off-road and off-piste in Alpe d'Huez. We learn the do's and don'ts of bike fitting, and we have a close encounter with some near-naked men. So you join us again in our central London bike cafe stroke studio. It's been another momentous week for British cycling, a fantastic silver medal for Lizzie Armitstead in the women's Olympic road race, and the day before, up to 1 million people on the streets of London watching the men. I was up in Kingston getting a little taste of the atmosphere. So the excitement really beginning to build here in Kingston, based around this big street party in that pub there. This is about 20 kilometres from the finish, and everybody here knows that if the peloton are still together at this point and Team GB are at the front, then Mark Cavendish is the clear favourite for gold.
I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that's shining always gonna be gold.
It's a fantastic event.
I think it's going to be heaving.
Non-cyclists realise that this is a massive event for London and for British cycling.
Can Cavendish win? If he does, then wow.
It's all about how today, 100%.
The crowds were amazing, and you know, the support for the cycle team was absolutely amazing.
So it's been an almost surreal, eerie experience, but a brilliant one.
Great for the sport, I think, and everyone's taken an interest. You saw the crowds here today, atmosphere great, so the profile of the sport's gone up hugely.
Today's been fantastic. It's been an absolutely huge crowd out. Everyone's embraced cycling. Cav may not have won today and won the gold medal, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of thousands and thousands of people at the side of the road have had a great day, a great experience, and may think about riding their bike a wee bit in the future.
Well, if ever there was proof that winning an Olympic road race medal is not quite as straightforward as some may have thought, it's the fact that our first Cycle Show guest this week hasn't got one despite winning everything else in the sport and being regarded as the greatest of all time. It's Eddy Merckx. Eddy, it's a great honour for us to have you here in the Cycle Show. Thank you very much for joining us. And tell us, first of all, how you got here and what you're doing here. You arrived by bicycle all the way from Belgium.
Yes, we start Wednesday from Brussels, and first stage was 125 kilometers to Ypres. Then the day after we go to Midstone. And then the third day we come from Midstone to London by bike to promote Belgian Paradise cycles. Also in Belgian House Paradise you can ride the bike and you can see the different regions of Belgium. So it was especially to promote cycling in the Belgian country.
What did you make of the race yesterday? A lot of disappointment here, obviously. The Team GB weren't able to deliver Mark Cavendish into the sprint that we were all craving, but it's really not that simple. They didn't really have a chance, did they?
No, I think it's very difficult to control the race on a course like this with only 5 riders in the team. So you have 4 riders and Mark, so you cannot control that.
When you were riding though, Eddy, you were uncontrollable. Nobody could manage to peg you back. Do you think that those days are gone forever now? Will there ever be somebody like you who can dominate so completely?
Yes, why not? I think I'm a person not of another planet, no?
I don't know, there are people that argue with that.
No, there are big, good athletes like Wiggins, and you can win. Not me. Contador is also a rider who can win Tour de France, Liège-Bastogne. I'm not the only one.
How would you have coped at the top level whenever there were team orders and people off the roads perhaps making decisions? Would you have coped with that very well if someone told you not to attack at this point? Would you have listened to the race radio if you were riding nowadays?
You know, no, I don't think so. You have to feel the race. You have to see who your competitors are, and when you feel the moment is to attack your competitors, you have to attack, not waiting to the spot to say attack. That's I think much more improvisation, as otherwise it becomes PlayStation.
Yeah, well, we certainly don't want it to get to be as boring as a computer game, and at the risk of boring you now, Eddy, I'll throw some questions to the floor, if that's okay. I'm sure there's lots of other people that want to ask questions, not just me. Yes?
Given that you brought up the PlayStation, if you had to select three racers across all times, who would you want to race against and be like, I'm beating you?
Yeah, first of all, it's very difficult to compare generations. But I think, I never knows first a copy. Maybe I read between Jacques Anquetil, but he was on the end of his career. I think Bernard Hinault was a very complete rider. He won 5 Tours de France, 3 Tours of Italy, he won classics, everything like that. And Lance Armstrong is good. Wiggins is also good. So it's very difficult to say. I think you cannot compare generations. I think the most important thing is that you be the best of your generations. And comparing the generations is very difficult. I think I was the best in my generation.
Eddie, there's a lot made in cycling today of marginal gains about, psychology and about the equipment and about nutrition. Did you worry about what you ate and how you ate when you were racing?
That's for sure. It's much more professional now than in our time. There was not nutrition, and also the material is completely different. And I think also the riders are going faster now, especially climbing, because the better material. And also I think the nutrition is much better now than it was in our time.
Eddie, it's been a great privilege for us to have such a cycling legend here, the Muhammad Ali of cycling, the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, your appreciation, please, for Eddy Merckx. Thanks, Eddie. Well, as we were saying last week, we want to feature a different club on the show every week, and one group that got in touch with us certainly forced us to look twice. You'll see why now. They're outside with our guest reporter, Jules Walker, or Lady Velo, as you may know her.
Thanks, Graham. We're now here with this week's cycling team, the Near Naked Men. Now, you have on some very fetching cycling suits there, gents. If you could tell us a little bit about the Near Naked Man campaign.
Yeah, sure, Jules. Our job as a charity is to raise awareness and reduce embarrassment of male cancer. Raising awareness we can do day in, day out. Trying to reduce embarrassment is a much more difficult. We're dealing with male culture much harder. I think all men are guilty of that, to be honest. Prostate is usually it's an older man's disease, but again, it's the culture of men refusing to go to the doctors when there's something wrong. They're too embarrassed to go, maybe because it's a female doctor. Our message is really clear. If you come up to 50, you should go to your doctor and get a simple bloke MOT.
So what are some of the challenges that you take on when you're doing these rides, and what kind of reaction do you get from people as well?
If you Google Balls Out Challenge, that comes to our fundraising website where we have the cycle challenges, culminating in our premier event, which is the 6-day, 600-mile challenge from Southend-on-Sea all the way to Galway. The other thing is, you have to earn these, they can't be bought. And the reaction we get is exactly the same reaction as we're getting opposite you, Jules, which is lots of smiles and lots of laughter.
So, racking up all of these miles on the challenges, it must be really important to be comfortable on your bikes. So, how important is it to get a good bike fitting when you're doing them?
Well, we recommend to all new riders that come along that they should really go get a bike fit. Everyone's built differently, different sizes, different shapes. And the bike fit just allows you to have a bi-spoke fitting especially if you've got a new bike. It's a huge benefit.
So here on the Cycle Show, we wanted to explain there are a few do's and don'ts when it comes to getting a bike fitting. We sent our reporter Ellie Southgate to find out exactly what a bike fit entails.
I'd like to think that I was about to start racing sometime soon, but really it's a cross-training thing for me. So I'm a rower really, and it just provides really good aerobic exercise. We'll just go into a physical assessment and I'll take a look at your bike, and then we'll go into actually then making some changes where you are now to where you want to be. Face up. Okay, perfect. So we are a few degrees more flexible on here on the left side. You'll notice that your right side you need collapsed in a little bit more. Okay, so normally what I would look at now is your knee over the pedal spindle. However, I can already see that your saddle is definitely too high, your hips are rocking. In order to bring you a little bit more forward, what we need to do is actually change the seat post. You're now nicely aligned with the pedal spindle. So
In general, that will help now to make sure that you've got weight distribution nice and evenly on the back and the front wheel. I want to get a filming of a general shot of where you are too, and we can dial in some exact angles. So at the moment, your position's a little aggressive, probably bring you in a touch. And also, we're going to just lower your saddle. You can see, even though these are very small adjustments, they actually make big differences. So you talk about millimetres and not in centimetres really in bike fits, and they make a very big difference. So we're going to look at you from the front. We just want to make sure that your knees are tracking nice and straight. You can still see this left knee kicks out at the top of the stroke. This is where we can look at the cleat positioning in more detail. It's just a very small change.
So what's the final verdict?
If we just watch this now, you can see nice and straight up at that red line.
Brilliant.
Very similar left and right.
Just a small adjustment.
Very, very small adjustment. All right, so as you can see, the before and after, we've moved you forward. We've also brought you in from a 120 to 100 mil stem, so shortened your reach quite a lot. So overall, you should be a lot more comfortable. She's ready to go, Ellie. So thank you for your time today. It's been lovely to meet you, and I hope you enjoy the bike in the future.
Thanks very much.
Perfect.
See you.
See you later.
And if you want to know more about bike fitting, including the importance of frame size, then please visit our Facebook and Twitter pages. Well, people come to cycling from all sorts of directions, and our next guest got interested in the sport precisely because of a bike fitting like the one we've just seen. He's living proof that cycling is cool at the moment, because they don't come much cooler than someone who's a pop star, songwriter and actor, and also a very dedicated cyclist with some of the toughest mountain climbs in the world already ticked off and proudly sitting on his cycling CV. It's Spandau Ballet's Gary Kemp. Gary, tell us this story about how you get interested in cycling.
Well, it's my friend, the broadcaster, Robert Elms, and we've always sort of had a sort of sartorial competition between each other, especially in suits. And I went for dinner with him about 5 years ago, and he said, I had a 3-hour fitting today. My God, what kind of Uber suit is this, you know? And he said, no, it's for a bike. And, you know, he spoke to me a bit about road racing, road riding. I'd already been cycling anyway, but not to that sort of extent. And then when I got home that night, he sent me a link for a particularly cool cycling brand of clothing with lots of very sexy black and white photographs. And I thought, I want to be in this gang.
Talk about some of the climbs that you managed to tick off.
Well, this year we just did the Pyrenees. So we went from the Atlantic to the Med, across most of the big ones, Circle of Death.
Did you die on it, or did you?
Well, we actually split it up. We did the Obisque on on one day, at the end of one day, and we did the rest on the second day. So it was cheating somewhat. Last year I did Chamonix down to Nice, across the Alps, and Ventoux. And you know, the thing is, if you're into football, you can't play at the Nou Camp. If you're into cricket, you can't play at Lord's. If you're into cycling, you can ride on these hills with the ghosts of giants, you know, and I think that's what's so fantastic about it.
What is it about cycling for you that really appeals to me? You obviously lead a fairly stressful life at times when you're on tour and everything else. Is it just the escapism of it?
The camaraderie. I like cycling on my own. I love that. But eventually it's being with a bunch of people that I like, pushing ourselves to the limit, and then talking about it endlessly. There's so much to talk about. So I guess cycle talking is what I really love.
Gary, thanks for that for now. We'll hear more from Gary in just a few minutes. We'll be chatting about cycling and about fashion. We'll also be showing you Anna Glowinski's terrifying mountain bike adventure at the Mega Avalanche. See you in a few minutes. The Cycle Show, brought to you by ChainReactionCycles.com. The Cycle Show, brought to you by ChainReactionCycles.com. Welcome back to The Cycle Show. Now, Alpe d'Huez is famous as being one of the most iconic climbs of the Tour de France. I've done the famous 21 hairpins myself, but grinding uphill was a little bit dull for our reporter Anna Glowinski. She was more interested in finding out what was the quickest way down it.
Craziest event on the planet. This is the Mega Avalanche. Bam bam, mon ça se passe, j'ai sur mon lit à bouffer sa langue en buvant trop mon whisky quant à moi.
It's mega!
Well, you've got to do it once in your life.
Fast. Exhausting.
Gets better every year.
The Meg Avalanche is the ultimate event that anyone can enter. 2,200 racers in a mass start descend 2,500 metres across a mountain. It combines extreme downhill with long climbs, and this is what makes your equipment selection so crucial. So Alex, the Meg Avalanche is not a full-on downhill race. How do you set up your bike to deal with such a challenge?
I suppose the first thing is a good strong frame with good geometry, so you can feel confident to ride down rough rocks and go fast on it. And then RockShox air suspension, which is very lightweight and works really well to soak up all the bumps. And on the back we've got two shocks, like a little one and a big one, and they both work together the whole time. So when you pedal hard, the little one locks out, so it's just the big one working.
Cool, and what tyres do you choose?
So we've got a dual ply downhill tyre on the back, which is quite narrow with a low profile tread, so that's a good compromise. On the front it's just basically a downhill tyre, just a little bit lighter, with a soft compound to grip the rocks. So you get a lot of grip and confidence from that tyre.
And what's this all about? Tell me what's going on here.
So this is a vital part of my bike, a dropper seat post. So when you're climbing, you've got it up and then you just sit on it and push the button and it goes down for the downhills.
Okay, so I'm going to be racing in a men's race tomorrow. What tips have you got for me?
Get your elbows out, look ahead, don't be scared of anything, be ready for anything. Like anything can happen, so be tenacious and you know, if stuff goes wrong then forget about it, carry on.
Okay, so it's race day today. I've got my bike all set up, I've got new tyres on it, I've got myself all padded up, and I'm just really, really excited to go. It's a beautiful sunny day. Everyone's just been chilling out in the queue, having a chat, getting the ski lifts, and then make our way to the top of the mountain. Yeah, it's such a long way up that you kind of forget that there's actually a race going on. But then when you get to the top, everyone's there, the line's there, they start calling your number forward, and then I don't know, the tension really builds. So yeah, I'm just trying to relax at the minute and trying to ignore the fact that I've got a race going on, and then hopefully I'll start getting pumped up when I get to the top and everyone's around me and the music's going.
Sur mon lit à bouffer sa langue en buvant trop mon whisky quant à moi, peu dormi, vide et bris, mais j'ai des glories dans la bouche et j'ai eu un flash. En 4 couleurs, ça plane pour moi, ça plane pour moi, ça plane pour moi. Ça plane pour moi. Allez hop, la nana, quelle vibration de s'envoyer sur paillasson, limé, ruiné, vidé, comblé. You are the king of the divan, qu'elle me dit en passant. I am the king of the divan.
Oh my god, no better feeling. Actually, no better feeling in the world. Sum it up in one word. Mega.
Well, Jules, you're a cycling blogger, but I imagine that type of cycling isn't really your scene, is it?
Yeah, that's a bit more high energy than what I do. I run a cycling and fashion blog, and I poodle around town on my Pashley Princess, so definitely nothing of that kind of speed.
And nobody more fashionable in terms of cycling than Gary Kemp?
Well, you know, I think the fashion does draw you in, as I said earlier. I would love just to have a little jaunty cycling cap, beret on. I'm quite fearful of. I've fallen off twice. Both times, smashed my head on the road with a helmet on, and so I always wear a helmet when I go out. And I won't ask you if you shave your legs, but obviously that's something that we like to do too.
Yeah, even if we weren't cycling, Gary, we'd be interested in that. Have you noticed that the boom in cycling is, you know, we've been going on about it here now for a couple of weeks, but it's very real, and especially it's very tangible, especially in this city, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, London has a huge cycling scene. Something like 500,000 journeys a day are made by bike, according to TfL. So there's going to be a huge mix within that, but even in the fashion scene as well, like some of the glossy magazines are doing lots of covers on cycling and fashion mixed at the moment. It's forever growing, and it's wonderful to see that so many people from different walks of life are embracing that as well.
Yeah, I just feel it's a shame we have some of the worst roads in Europe, though. Yeah. Potholes.
Yeah.
It's never been good.
You're surrounded at the moment by a team of near-naked men, and that's because they're getting ready for our famous cycle show challenge. It's a near-naked man versus Gary Kemp. Last week, the Flying Scotsman Graham O'Brien raced mustachioed mountain bike maverick Gary Fisher, and it was the former time trialist, freshly adorned with Wigan sideburns, who triumphed on the 500-metre circuit. So Graham O'Brien has set a time of 25.66 as the mark to beat. Tom and Gary are under starters' orders. Over to you, Jake.
Okay, Gary on the blue, near-naked man Tom on the red. Riders, are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go, 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 go! Pedal, pedal, pedal! And as they rocket up in the line, we have the red bike and the man coming up the 100 metres. It's 100 gone. Come on, riders, pick up that pace. Coming up to 200 metres on near-naked man Tom's in the lead. It's halfway! Come on, Gary, you've got less than 25-metre gap. Can you catch up with 200 metres to go? It's coming up to the last 150. Keep pedalling with 100 to go. The red's in the lead. Gary, you've got to catch up with 25 metres. As they cross the line, we have a winning time on the red bike, 25.18 on the blue.
Congratulations to near-naked man Tom. He goes straight to the top of the cycle show leaderboard. My thanks to all our guests, especially to Gary Kemp, for putting us through such pain and torture. Remember to get in touch with us via Twitter and Facebook. Next week, we've got one of the world's most expensive bicycles here in the studio, and Anna Gawinski is off to Edinburgh for another extreme challenge. See you then. Bye.
Transporting a fugitive and reaping the rewards is tougher than you might think, even when you're Bobby De Niro. Midnight Run is your movie at 10 tonight. Next, though, checking out the shocking behaviour of the so-called Death Wish driver. Police camera action in a sec.
The Cycle Show, brought to you by ChainReactionCycles.com.